Good morning and welcome to Sail On here on Sunday morning. We've got quite a lot of boats out there today as we're sailing the ACA America's Cup boats, and it looks like we got enough that we're splitting into heats. So we welcome you today. You'll notice I have a friend on my shoulder here, right next to between me and Aslan, and that's Hannah, little Hannah. She is the little sister of Puff the Magic Dragon. She's been hanging out with me because I've been over in the Honolulu Sims and getting those prepared and are now available. But the exciting part is we now have horseback riding over there, 30-some different horses you can ride for free, and invite you to come over to the Honolulu airport area where the stables are and check it out over there. So, Hannah, are you ready for today's races? Yeah, she's very excited. Look at that. You can tell when she's got her wings going that she's excited. So, Aslan, are you comfortable with Hannah being next to you?
With Hannah? Sure. She looks really cute. I love the color.
Okay.
She doesn't bite, right?
No, she doesn't bite, and she doesn't...
She's not chewing on your ear there or anything.
I'm wearing black, so I'm taking quite a chance, but, you know... Okay, Svar, why don't we go ahead and get the first heat of the races today. When we do the ACA boats, they're very big boats, and so when we get more than 6 of these boats out there, we need to break them up into groups. We should really go with 3 heats here because we have so many boats today, but we're just going to stick with our 2. So they are in Heat 1 today. I have listed, and Aslan, correct me if I've made a mistake, Jima Vukovic, Dissimi Misfit, Masahisa Greenwood, Nugi Negaluso, Carmen Foden, and Soluda Nizna. Yeah.
We've been adding boats as we go along, so I'll just call them as I go over the line, and we'll see who's here for Heat 1 and who comes along for Heat 2.
Okay, well, that's Heat 1, and we'll announce Heat 2 for Race 2 when we get to that. Those 2 groups will race. The top 3 boats in each group will go to the 3rd race in the finals here for the television part of our broadcast, and then, of course, we'll continue racing after our broadcast. But that's the groups. We've got 50 seconds to the start. We're using the short Olympic course, the same course we've used here in the Blake Sea for the last 2 weeks. I'm actually going to make my way out for the race. We'll kind of skip over the course description right now, maybe give that later, but I'm going to make my way there. Come on over to Hollywood. Join us here in either Angels Gate Lighthouse in Hollywood Sim, or you can go to Blake Sea Crow's Nest, and there's a spectators platform there where you can enjoy the races from as well if you want to be here live with us. Other than that, we'll be bringing it to you live here on SLCN. So, Aslan, you've got the call.
We've got 6 seconds to the start. Looks like we may have Carmen coming in for a port start. And the race has started. First over the line is going to be Jema Vukovic at 2. Carmen is coming in on the port start. Just waiting for Carmen. Crosses at 11, but then tacks over to starboard, so she's safe there. Dissimi Misfit starts at 12 seconds. We have a boat over that may not be ID'd because I don't see a time starting for them. We have Masahisha Greenwood starts at 28 seconds. Looks like next over the line is going to be Nugi Neguluso. I apologize to anybody whose name I'm just completely butchering here.
There ought to be a rule that you never have to apologize in Second Life for a name pronunciation. I think that should be a standard rule given the names that we have to deal with. And Gemma has tacked off to port. Everyone else is staying on starboard, and someone else just started there.
Yeah, Saluda just started, but I'm not seeing a time starting for him, too. So we've got a couple boats that may not be ID'd.
Okay, if someone could keep track of physical times, if they got them on those, that would help us. Okay, Jim has tacked off to port. The rest of the fleet still on starboard, except that, I take that back, we got boats that are now starting to tack over, a number of boats with the same set of sails, so I'm going to have a little trouble identifying them. The problem with these boats is you can't get close enough to them to ID them because you're down in the plane where their sails are, and you'll be creating problems behind. So I'm going to head towards the orange mark they're heading for, our top mark today in Crow's Nest, and we'll kind of pick up the fleet there. Aslan, what are you seeing?
I'm going to follow the ones on port. I'm trying to identify some of these boats right now. Like you said, some of them we recognize right away. Gemma's is always the colorful pink. Disabie's going to be in the Coast Guard boat. The rest of them I'm still working on.
Okay, JP, if you could get yourself a little higher there. We have some folks in the area that might be a little bit too low for the sails on these tall boats. Okay, here comes Gemma around the orange mark in first place, and it's going to be hard to tell from these blue-masted boats who's going to be second, but the rest of the fleet is closing on that top mark. Gemma's already passed it. I would think Gemma perhaps has already gotten herself about a half a sim lead on the rest of the fleet as she makes herself towards the yellow mark down in Blake Sea Cannonade, where she'll be turning and heading back up to the top mark. Here comes the entire fleet as they close together on the orange mark. We have one blue boat already around, but here comes Tig in her Coast Guard boat. She looks like she's in third place, and then they're just stacked up beside each other. Everyone needs to give everyone room. It looks like that has done well. No one's barging in there too much. That was a pretty classy and clean crossing by folks. Well done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boats currently in the process of going around that orange mark. That was pretty.
That first boat that rounded, the first blue boat that rounded the mark was Bunny Mills, and then it's Disamy and the Coast Guard boat following. And I'm just far enough away so it's hard to tell. I can't quite get in on who else might be there. Sorry.
A lot of these blue a lot of these boats with blue masks have not put on their personalized sails yet. And that's because we announced that today we're using version 2.0 of this boat. There are so many versions of the ACA boat out that we decided that we would limit it to the newest version, which is 2.0. And that means there's some folks sailing today that have not had time to put their customized sails on. So that's one reason we're seeing as many blue sailboats as we are. I imagine next time the ACA sail, we'll see more more customized boats. So Disamy continues to have the lead in second. I think that's
Gemma in the lead.
I'm sorry, Gemma. Gemma's in the lead. Is that Bunny? Did you say?
I think that's Bunny that is second. I think it is Masahisha that has just rounded the yellow mark, followed by Disamy, who has just got a little bit off course and is pulling around.
Okay.
After Disamy, it's really tricky to try to get, is Nagi Nagalusko?
That's close enough.
He seems to be sailing off into a different direction.
Okay, Gemma is making her way through. I think when I get up there, I think I'm going to find that she's in Indefatigable Sim, heading for the bottom mark. We have another boat in her area that's looks like a late starter with a green hull there. And then after Gemma's who's in the lead, we got Bunny, and we've got Masahisha, and then the rest of the fleet back there. So they're strung out like a string of pearls right now on this short Olympic course. You might be wondering why we're racing such huge boats on the short course instead of the long course. Well, now with this something 40 sim Blake C36 in the main part, we can really stretch out some large courses, but they're too big for our purposes here on SailOn. We did the long course our first week here on SailOn, and it just really took a longer time than fits. So this is a good course for televising a regatta, but the long course exists for those that are racing in other regattas. I mean, we've got several clubs that are holding weekly regattas out here. You can check if you go to the United Sailing Sims website at unitedsailingsims.com. You can get the schedule of what's going on here. And eventually, once we get everything set up in the Blake Sea, there's going to be information areas the Lindens will provide, where not only can you get the schedule of the races that are going on here, you can also go to a website and schedule your own nautical event here in the Blake Sea. While these are primarily races that are done within clubs, regular sailing clubs, there is the possibility of scheduling events, legitimate nautical events that aren't necessarily sailboat races, and you'll eventually be able to schedule that at unitedsailingsims.com. A lot of this stuff is still coming together. Technologically, we're still trying to get the Blake Sea totally together in terms of ownership rights. There's some still issues that are going on there. Gemma is now getting ready to round the orange mark for the second time here in Crow's Nest, where the spectators platform is, and she'll be turning home. What's the call after that?
Mark, just a warning, I have crashed. I'm just trying to get back in again, so.
Okay. While you're doing that, okay, it looks like Masahisha has passed Bunny for second place, has just overtaken Bunny, so we have a change between positions 2 and 3. Then fourth place is back there with Tig Spikers in the Coast Guard. Yes,
that's Dissamy in the Coast Guard boat.
Oh, that's Dissamy in the Coast Guard.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you. No wonder I was getting it. I thought I saw Tig out there in the Coast Guard boat, SL Coast Guard. Okay, so Dissamy's doing wing on wing and trying to catch up to the third place boat. Bunny has been passed now by Masahisha Greenwood. He is now getting ready to round the top mark and head home. I think Masahisha is a he. I apologize if I got that wrong. Dissamy's wing on wing headed home. I'm going to try to follow her to get to the finish time, and so that's the order we have at the moment. Gemma on the lead, heading for the finish line. Masahisha Greenwood rounding the top mark in second. Bunny has now rounded, then Dissamy next for that. So the boats are spread out quite a bit. Someone is IMing me that the TV shows are on the wrong program. They probably, I don't know what that's about, but our TV crew, I'm sure, is on top of that. Okay, Gemma crosses. I wasn't quite close enough to get the official time, but it said about 9 minutes and 18 seconds or so on the graphical clock, and I'm in endless fly mode, so hopefully, Aslan, you're going to be back in time to take over, because I think it's my turn to be out of the...
I'm just heading back to the finish line so I could pick up the times. Everybody is still gray and everything, but I can at least get to the finish line. We've got the second place boat just coming in now. It looks like it's going to be Masahisha Greenwood. And because these are all gray, I don't know who's following. And followed by Bunny Mills.
I think that's well, and then there's a boat coming in, but that boat's going the other direction. Never mind.
Masahisha finished at 10 points, 10 minutes, 3 seconds. And
okay.
Bunny is just coming up to the line. Finishing at, I take it that boat is not ID'd because I didn't get the finish time for him.
I would say about 10 minutes and 20 seconds approximately, something like that. And here comes, it looks like this has been passed by another boat. I'm going to try to pick up the name here as that boat heads for the finish line. That's Carmen Foden has passed Dissamy to take over what I think is going to be fourth place, and Dissamy is going to be there for fifth place after that, I think. Carmen finishes in 10 minutes and 53 seconds. That's for third place, but actually fourth, because we had one boat that wasn't ID'd. So that was Carmen in fourth place, and here comes Dissamy in at 11 minutes and 6 seconds for fifth place, and I think this might be a good time for us to take our first commercial break of the day, so we'll be right back after this word. Today we take a look at how golf is played in Second Life at the Hollykai Golf Club. First tees are in Hollywood Sim, and then the course is spread out over 8 additional sims. Hannah and I welcome you back to part 2 of today's broadcast here, where we're doing ACA races on SailOn. Gemma Vukovic, Mahisha Greenwood, and Bunny Mills were our top 3 winners in the first race. They'll go to the final race, number 3, here in a minute. But now we have heat number 2. Svar, if you want to go ahead and get the boats going. I'm going to read the list I have for heat 2. But I'm sure this has probably changed since we made up the list before we started. In Heat 2 today, we've got Julia Sears, Serena Benelli, Colin Nemeth, Love Markova, Michael Rekrantz, and Glorfindel Arrow. Is there anyone else in Heat 2, Aslan, that you're aware of?
Just doing a survey of the boats out here just before we started Heat 2. I've also got Manny Lush and Blackbird Latte.
Okay, so we have a little bit larger group, and they're on the mill. So Aslan, I'm pretty far away right now. Looks like we got about 1 minute and 10 seconds, if I can read that far. What do we got?
We're at 1 minute and 12 seconds. They're kind of milling around. I'm trying to see if anybody looks like they're going to do a port start, but it's still pretty early. Possibly Manny. Manny was sitting at the port side of the line before the start, and he still is. The rest of them, it's kind of hard to tell.
would be almost impossible to successfully do a port start and port the fleet with these ACA boats. They're so big. Much more possible with a Fizz or a Taco type boat to port the fleet. In the last race, Masahisa tried to port but immediately tacked off to starboard. Would have been in serious trouble. So, 30 seconds to go. You got the call.
I think that maybe Manny is really close to the line. Now he's being called over early. 20 seconds to the start. And I'm a little bit far away to tell. Looks like first over the line. Where they're going to be really close. We're at 2 seconds, 1 second. First over the line is Kay Tyron, who we missed at 1 second. We missed in our calling. Glorfindel Arrow starts at 6. Manny starts at 6. Serena Benelli starts at 13. I'm getting a wrong way from somebody's. Julia starts at 15. I am seeing that the first two boats tacked over to port right away, and it looks like Serena is also tacking over to port.
And Julia is also tacking over to port. So the entire fleet, once they're getting clear of the line, is tacking over to the port side. So that seems to be the preferred direction for these boats after the start. We do have Cade, K-A-D-E, in the lead, followed by the other boats that, as I mentioned there, that I can't get quite close enough to.
We got a couple different, I was seeing the line saying wrong way, whether that was Manny, because Manny was right there at the line and was actually crossed early and then is now over the line and has started.
Okay, so he's gotten the line a little bit confused, if not us. So Cade is in the lead. Glorfindel is also out there well to windward of Cade, so they're going to be, it'll be interesting to see whether they turn at the same time as them, running third. I can't tell if it's Serena or Julia, but they're both contending for third place there, as they're going to be tacking here in another half a sim or so, getting ready to come across and into Crow's Nest and the orange mark. Fleet looks real good now. A very pretty image out there. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boats all in the same sim here with those beautiful ACA sails. Julia has tacked over to starboard, as has the rest of the fleet. It'll be interesting. We're going to have a good crossing here. Those boats are just barely going to be able to clear the spectator platform. They're going to be passing underneath it, and there's not much clearance there, but there goes Julia. Looks like she's going to be the first to round the mark. Serena is now closing in from the windward side. A black boat there I don't recognize, all black. Who's in the all black boat? I can't really.
I'm trying to zoom in to see who it is also. Looks like that's Blackbird.
Blackbird in a black boat. Well, that's helpful. Okay, so the fleet now is all rounding together. They're bunched up very nicely as they head for the reach mark. Julia on the lead. Then I think that's Serena second and Blackbird running third, and then fourth behind the three of them is Glorfindel. Glorfindel Arrow is running in fourth place right now. This is a very nice grouping. I like this. I like to see the boats actually fighting for a position instead of being strung out on the sim. Good stuff here. I'm heading for the reach mark. What are you seeing, Aslan?
I have lost the boats that were behind them. I don't see any other boats at all, whether they have crashed or what's happened to them, but I'm just seeing the lead boats.
Okay, so we got nothing has changed. Julian first, Serena in second. Glorfindel is now established in third, gotten ahead of Blackbird, at least from my graphical look at the situation. Not sure I trust it. Here goes Julia around the yellow mark, returning up and heading for the bottom mark. I think... I'm sorry, That's Cade at second. I've been saying it's Serena. Because I think Serena uses similar sails, but that's Cade, K-A-D-E, that's running second. Glorfindel Arrow rounds in third. Here comes Blackbird for fourth, but being challenged by, there is Serena. Serena in the red and black colors of Alinge. She now rounds and is turning. Blackbird is heading off without turning, so I'm wondering if, Blackbird now seems to be either doing a 360 or wearing the ship the opposite direction. Not sure. I think he maybe didn't know quite where the course was. I think he thought he was going to another mark. Okay, so back to the leaders. We got Julia, then Cade, K-A-D. I keep spelling his name because he's new to me. I still don't have a last name on Cade.
Cade's last name is, I don't have it written down either, sorry.
Okay, he's got a Union Jack painted sail for a spinnaker, and then red and black for his mainsail, which is why I was getting it confused with Serena and her Alingi colored boats. So here comes Julia, continuing on the lead. Seeing a number of avatars out here. We have a spectator avatar here in Catawater. At least I don't think that's a camera person. If it is, they've slipped that camera person in on me unknown. Julia continues to lead, but Cade is giving her a challenge. Cade Tyran, Tyran.
I'm seeing a boat coming in the other direction. It looks like it is Love Makova, who was in the list here, but is just starting, I believe. I don't think he's been to the mark yet.
Okay, we've got a race that's tightening up now. We've got Julia going to round the bottom mark first, but then we have a tie in second. Cade has now been caught by Glorfindel, and we're going to have an interesting routing. Cade has the inside position. Glorfindel will, of course, give Cade room. They're going around the mark wide, as a matter of fact. Julia has made her turn, but Cade seems to have taken too long. Glorfindel is turning inside of Cade. Cade still seems to be manned. He's making some course changes, but he's almost acting like he has lost control of his boat. Rounding now for third place is Serena, and there we have it. Julia, Glorfindel, and Serena, each about 6 to 7 boat lengths between the three of them. Cade has now turned back into the race. I'm not sure what that's about, so we'll have to find out about that later. What else is happening?
There's another boat out here by Cade that I'm trying to identify, but it went flying off into the air, so maybe it's just a ghost for me.
Okay, I'm going to ask one of our security people who are in the area of the start line to let Jimma, Mashahisha, and Bunny know that they can work their boats up into the mooring area away from the finishing boats that will be coming later, and they can be ready for our third and finals race for the broadcast today. So if we could get Jimma, Mashahisha, and Bunny to be ready for when this group finishes, and we can get the 3 winners here and be able to go fairly quickly into our third and final televised race of the day. Julie is now heading, getting ready to pass right underneath the Crow's Nest spectator platform with a commanding lead. It's still up in the air between Glorfindel Arrow and Serena. As to second place, Serena Benelli. So we're going to be an interesting cross there. I believe that, I don't know. Hard to say. It's going to be interesting. Keep your eyes on that orange mark as we have a real battle for second coming in. It looks like perhaps Serena is going to have, nope, she does not have overlap, so it looks like Glorfindel is going to round clear ahead with Serena right there on his tail. These boats can wind shadow. She's might be close enough to do some wind shadowing. Hard to say. She's about 2 lengths behind, but some fine sailing by both Glorfindel and Serena there, fighting for second and third as Julia, as Julia makes her way towards the
Mark?
finish line. Yes.
Kate appears to have crashed. His boat kind of disappeared, and I don't see him out here right now.
Okay, that kind of fits. I thought he'd crashed, but then I saw a change of heading, which usually indicates you haven't crashed, but that may perhaps have been a graphical thing. I'm trying to catch up with our leader there to get her finishing time for us, and then we'll call number 2 and 3 home. Those are the important boats. If we could get a message to them to stay in the immediate area and meet up with our boat the Heat 1 winners. We'll try to get these 6 boats together as quickly as we can during the next break. Okay.
I'm seeing some sails out there. This is a really hard race. I'm just seeing sails. I don't see anybody. It looks like Glorfindel may see him too. It looks like he may be swerving to miss those.
Okay, we're having some problems with the line. It gave a wrong way finish report to Julia. She finished in 9 minutes, and I'm going to guess, I'm not even sure, 9 minutes and a lot of seconds. Hopefully someone got that. But the line called her crossing the wrong way, and it's calling everyone crossing the wrong way. So we were having issues with the line again. I'm hoping our director, as far as getting some of these 10 minutes and 35 seconds on that last boat that just passed. Okay, so I think we're going to take our second break of the day as we try to sort the situation out here. And like Asin, I'm only seeing sails out there now, so we may be having some issues that are more than the line related. So let's go to our second break of the day right now. Today we take a look at how golf is played in Second Life at the Holikai Golf Club. First tees are in Hollywood Sim, and then the course is spread out over 8 additional sims. Welcome back to SailOn and race number 3 today, the finals for the ACA on-camera part of our regatta. We'll continue these races after this race, which is our final on-camera race. But we have 5 boats out there. We should have 6, but it looks like one of the boats, Glorfindel Arrow, is a no-show. This is the finals from the best 3 of races 1 and 2, or heats 1 and 2. From heat 1, we have Gemma Vukovic, Masahisa Greenwood, and Bunny Mills. From heat 2, we've got Julia Sears, Serena Benelli, and as I say, Glorfindel, who finished at 3rd, is not here. So they're out there on the mill with 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. Aslan, are you ready to take the call?
I'm ready to take the call. I'm right next to the start line. We've got 1 minute and 11 seconds. You have one boat going around so as not to cross early. That's Masahisa.
We have a taco down near the airport, the southern part of the airport. I don't know if he's going to be an issue or not. If security could take a look right down there on Blake Sea, Caribbean.
We're down to 46 seconds to the start. They all look like they're going to do starboard starts from my position.
Let's see if they all go across and tack over to port immediately like last time. That was almost a choreographed move last time.
These are big boats, and it's hard to miss each other sometime. I saw 2 of them out there just crossing in front of each other.
Yeah. It's so cool to watch Real America's Cup races in these boats. It is so awesome to see how big they are and how in the pre-race in the mill, how they're fighting for position and around each other. I have to put some video up of stuff that I took when I was on the press boat for the 33rd America's Cup.
The line has started. Gemma's going to be the first over the line at 3 seconds. And we've got 2 of them just coming up to the line. I'm still not recognizing them as I should. Bunny Mills starts at 10 seconds. We've got Julia coming in at port. Masahisa starts at 13 seconds. Julia just creeps in behind them with a port start at 20 seconds.
Julia has already tacked over to port, as has Bunny, but Masahisa continues to run on starboard. Masahisa. So we have 3 of our boats on port, 1 on starboard, and a 5th boat who hasn't crossed the line yet. Who's our missing?
We're missing Serena, and I don't see her boat out here. Isn't that who we're missing?
She crashed. Perhaps that's who. Yeah, I think that sounds right. Because we got Julia here. Okay, so the leaders are on the port tack are Gemma, Bunny, and Masahisa. I'm sorry, that's not true. Julia running 3rd. Masahisa by himself over on starboard. He's just now is tacking over to port in his Oracle painted boat, BMW Oracle.
Glorfindel has joined the boat. Has joined the race. He starts at 1 minute 21 seconds.
Okay, all right. So he's clearly had crashed and is late getting started. Okay.
I was there to watch him start, so I'm a little bit behind the rest of you. It looks like Gemma really has the lead from my point of view.
Yeah, I have the Gemma and Masahisa closing together. Gemma on starboard, Masahisa on port. I think Gemma is going to be there first, but I think Gemma might be low. I don't believe. It's hard to say. Well, let's see if she's got the angle, if she's going to have to tack. If she has to tack, I think Masahisa is going to get there first. If she doesn't, I think she's going to get there first. Here's a classical situation developing. It looks like she's able to cheat up into the wind and not have to tack. I think she's losing a little speed to do that, but there she goes around in first, and Masahisa has to take her stern and is right behind her as they go around, close enough to potentially put some wind shadow on her, but Masahisa's surrounding wasn't the smoothest in the world, so I think Masahisa lost a little bit of wind on that, and Bunny is coming up for 3rd place, probably a half a sim, maybe even as much as 3/4 of a sim behind the 2 leading boats, and then Julia is 4th and Glorfindel fighting to get back into the race after his crash at the start. Okay, so Gemma on the lead, Masahisa running second, perhaps 4 boats behind. Masahisa definitely lost a little bit of power when he didn't make as smooth a crossing, and you can see that now as he's approaching. I should say Jim is approaching a quarter sim lead over Masahisa. Gemma is now heading for the reach mark, the yellow mark. Masahisa about a quarter sim behind. Bunny another 3/4 sim behind, and then Julia. So our boats are stretched out over about a sim and a half, the 4 boats that are actually in the race, and then Glorfindel on his own looks like he's just rounded the orange mark and can't tell if he's tacking or not. Looks like he might be continuing on. Jim has now rounded the mark, is heading to the bottom mark now. I would say that Masahisa probably picked up a boat length or two on that rounding, definitely a little closer than before. And now here goes Bunny as Bunny makes the turn, and closely behind Bunny would be Julia.
You've mentioned it before, Mark. It is amazing to kind of scroll back and see these 4 boats and all this open ocean.
Mm-hmm. All the open ocean that's actually sailable. It's just kind of, you play a product like Second Life, and you do your suspension of disbelief the way you would do in a computer game, that you look out there at that horizon. Yeah, that's a horizon. I can sail forever, even though you know that just beyond this sim, it's not really there. But you let your mind get into the suspension of disbelief so you enjoy the experience. And what is so cool here is there is no suspension of disbelief. Every bit of water I see in front of me is real raceable water, and it's kind of like a really cool feel.
Julia is pulling up on Bunny. It looks like Julia has passed Bunny.
Okay. So I don't know whether I should be taking the phone call that's being sent to me. Can someone from the broadcast booth let me know?
I'm getting the same thing and don't know whether I should answer it either.
I'm gonna.
I take it that Mark has answered that call. I am not going to. I don't know if I'm still on the air, but I'll keep talking. Seeing Gemma still has quite a length lead over the rest of the boats. Got kind of behind. I'm watching Julia and Bunny. Thank you, Texas. I'm seeing Gemma. It looks like Gemma has just rounded the mark ahead of me, followed by Masa, probably about 2 or 3 boat lengths behind. And we have Julia and Bunny just coming up.
Okay, am I back?
Welcome back, Mark. Yes, well, I hear you. If I'm on the air, I guess you are too.
Okay, well, someone sent an IM from our group, and a voice call, and I thought maybe we'd been dropped, so apparently not. Anyway, okay, so Jim is now heading to the bottom mark. It looked, at the time that I dropped off the air, I was getting ready to say that it looked like Masahisa had done a great job of catching up to Jim and was perhaps only 1 boat length behind at the time that I disappeared. Now he's back to being a quarter sim behind. I'm guessing that's because of the rounding at the bottom mark. Aslan, did you happen to see that and know?
Yeah, that is true. I was seeing them much closer together at that rounding, and Gemma's pulled ahead, just kind of gained that advantage in the rounding. We've got a good race right now, and for 3rd place between Julia and this is Julia and Bunny. Bunny is trying desperately to catch up, but there are probably 2 boat lengths between the two.
So the pattern I'm seeing in this race is Masahisa seems to be faster on the straightaway, but and tries to catch up and gets closer and closer. But when it comes to the roundings, Jim is making better roundings, keeping better power on the boat than Masahisa has in this race. So I don't think Julia's going to have any trouble keeping her lead. She's around. Here comes Masahisha around, already 4 boat lengths behind. Let's see if he perhaps does a little smoother rounding this time. Not mad, but perhaps a little slower coming out of the gate than Jim. Jim is back to a quarter sim lead, so I'll be following her to the finish. How's it going back there in that fight for third?
Both of those appear to be wing on wing. Julia really has the lead to the mark, although Bunny is keeping up, but still just can't quite catch up.
So you're saying they're wing on wing. The wind shouldn't be right for them to be wing on.
No, I'm talking about. I was watching Gemma.
Oh yeah, Gemma's got wing on wing, and she's heading for the finish line, and she'll be our victor in today's ACA broadcast portion of the regatta. But as I say, the regatta is not over. We're going to continue for at least 2, perhaps 3 more races, and it's going to be kind of crowded too, because all these boats will I think start together unless the race director decides to continue the heat procedure. But come on down to Hollywood Sim, where you can find seating at Angel's Gate, or go to Blake C. Crow's Nest, where you can find seating in the spectators platform. Don't forget at noon today, and there's Gemma going across with the victory at 9 minutes and 7 seconds. Don't forget at noon today we have the Learn to Sail class at the Starboard Yacht Club classroom, and all kinds of other activities going on here in the USS, in the Blake Sea, and around. So come down and give us a visit. Marisha crosses in 9 minutes and 24 seconds for second place. Our line seems to be working again. And as we get Julia, looks like getting up for third, and Bunny fourth. I think this is probably a good time to wrap it up for the day. So this is MarkTwain White, along with Hannah on my shoulder there, and Asa not on my shoulder there, saying good night and see you next week.
Good night.
Remember.